Next, we have Dr. Abdoulaye Salifou presenting on ADI's 14 and recognition of certificates. Permit me to introduce to you Dr. Abdoulaye Salifou. He is a graduate of the National School of Administration and holds a PhD in communication with specialization in ICT law from the University of Lille III in France, as well as with over 25 years of international experience in both academia and professional settings. Dr. Salifou currently serves as the head of education at the Unesco Liaison Office of the African Union and the United Nations Economic Commissions for Africa. Proud to joining UNESCO in 2017, he held several key management positions, including Regional Director for Southern Africa of UCLG Africa and Regional Administrator of the Caribbean Office of the AUF, where he also served as Director of Studies and the Institute of Francophone for Management in the Caribbean. Dr. Salifou has also contributed significantly as Deputy Director for Scientific Policy of the AUF for Central Africa and the Great Lakes region, and as Director of the AUF Digital Campuses in Benin, Mali, and other locations. Notably, he was the Secretary of the ADI's Convention from 2021 to 2023. His areas of interest include education, higher education, digital technology, artificial intelligence, and the legal and ethical aspects of AI and digital innovation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Abdoulaye Salifou to present on, right, so he's presenting on a minute, please.
Hello?
Hello, Doc. Okay, you can hear us? Hello, Doc.
Yes, I can hear it. Yes.
Your line is
Good morning,
breaking.
good afternoon, depending on my line is breaking. Okay, wait. Okay, I need to change my network, maybe.
Right, so like I was saying, Prof will be presenting on 14 and recognition of certificates with us today. Hello, Prof.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please proceed.
Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. My name, as you said, Dr. Abdoulaye Salifou, the Chief Education Sector. Gratitude and appreciation to all the participants, and particularly to the SG of AAU, Professor Olushola Oyewole, for his successful management at the head of African Association of University. Let's also say that this year we are celebrating AAU Year of Education. And the theme of the AAU Year of Education is in perfect coherence with the theme of Africa University Day celebration. Educate African Fit for 21st century. Allow me also to say that this year, UNESCO and all its partners will celebrate the 10th anniversary of ADI's convention, which is the topic of this meeting today. Okay, let me share my presentation. So, okay, good. Okay, can you share the presentation? Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay. So The outline of my presentation is as follows. I will start with the context of African higher education. This will be followed by trends and key data on the African higher education landscape. And I will respond to the core question that is at the center of this presentation. Why this convention is important for enhancing African higher education. This will lead me to present the ecosystem of UNESCO Convention on Recognition of Qualification. The final point will be UNESCO Qualification Passport for migrants and refugees, particularly the inclusion dimension of this convention. And I will conclude by a few words on our flagship program on Campus Africa. Okay, so as you can see, the context first, African population and youth. According to the UN data, as of today, we have more than 1 billion population in Africa. And this in the context of the African agreement on the African Continental Free Trade Area. And this need to put aside of this convention who support also the mobility of human capital, because the mobility of trade and business also goes with the mobility of human capital. The second point of the context is that according to UN, Africa population will double by 2050. And this need to take into account because it will impact our higher education. The third point, as of today, we have more than 225 million student enrollment worldwide. Regarding the academic mobility, the data from UNESCO Institute for Statistics shows that more than 6 million students are on academic mobility, including 3 million who are mobile outside the region. And of course, we have a critical issue regarding the massive employment of youth. Today, we have more than 400 million young people aged from 15 to 35 are unemployed or in precarious employment situation. The data talks for UNESCO. Let's continue and share some data concerning the academic mobility at African level. More than 400 African students study abroad in 2017. My second point, almost 100 African students and staff will be on mobility in European university by 2027 within the framework of Erasmus+. According to UNESCO Institute of Statistics, we will have more than 173 million young people of age school. The data from 2017 shows 122 million. Sub-Saharan Africa record the faster growing between 2007 and 2017, talking about to the academic mobility. The post-secondary student population nearly doubled to 9 million. The data I have just quotes are in perfect coherence with this new figure, the average gross enrollment ratio in Sub-Sahara, 9% in 2021. below the global average of 42 in 2022 regarding the enrollment at university level. Now, what about the data, the key data concerning the academic mobility? As I just mentioned, more than 6.4 million are international students, a number that has more than doubled in the 20 years and is expected to double again in the upcoming decades. Just for Africa, for instance, in our sub-Saharan Africa, we have 4.4% of people are in academic mobility. This percentage of international mobile students by region of origin in 2021. The percentage of international mobile students by host region in 2021 for our region is around 1.5%. So this figure also shows the same trends. Now, what about the trend, the data on destination of students from sub-Saharan Africa in 2021? Our data show that 27% are in sub-Saharan Africa, 12% in France, 10% in USA, 6% in United Kingdom, and 46% in other countries. Concerning the trends on origin of students on mobility in sub-Saharan Africa in 2020, we have almost 78% from Africa and 22% from other countries. So, having set the scene, now we need to see how the Addis Convention, can impact the quality of research, quality of training, quality of youth integration, and quality of digital learning in Africa. Let's say first that this convention has been adopted by UNESCO member states in December 2014, and the convention entered into force in December 2019. The convention established a legal framework for the fair and transparent recognition of higher education qualification in Africa. As of today, 40 state parties has ratified at this convention, including Holy See. At its first session in 2021 in Lomé, Togo, in the presence of the SG of AAU, the Convention Committee adopted a roadmap focusing on quality assurance, recognition of refugees' qualification, and information exchange. The national network of national implementation structure was launched in September 2022. I will come back on this point regarding the objective and the aims of the convention. The second session of Convention Committee took place in Senegal in October 2023. Now, what is the overall objective of the convention?
L'objectif de la convention
aims to demystify the Addis Convention so that it will be easier to better understand the convention. First, the convention is to promote quality higher education, full recognition and comparability of degrees, certificate diploma in Africa. The specific objective of the convention is to encourage institutions and national accreditation body to develop internal and external quality assurance mechanisms and promote mutual recognition of studies, diplomas, and degrees in higher education, to take advantage of advanced technology to improve quality higher education, to improve teaching and learning for open and distance learning, cross-border education, and the use of open educational resources, to organize and reinforce the recognition of studies, certificates, diplomas, degrees, and other certificates. The main aim of this convention are, first, to strengthen and promote inter-regional and international cooperation in the field of the recognition of qualification, to improve and reinforce the collection and the sharing of information, namely on the recognition of qualification, to define and put in place effective quality assurance and accreditation mechanisms at national, regional, and continental level, to encourage and promote the most effective use of human capital from diaspora, facilitating exchange and greater mobility of students, teachers, professors, lecturers, researchers, including diaspora. To set up a high-level joint training and research program between higher education institutions, supporting the WA and joint degrees. Now, as this convention is a binding convention, the convention has various obligations of the party. Let us focus on the main one. The first that I want to point out is that stating that each party shall recognize, for the purpose of access to each of its higher education program, the qualification issued by the other parties that meet the general requirement for access to this respective higher education program, unless a substantial difference can be shown between the general requirements. This meaning clearly that within the state party that ratify the convention, they should recognize the qualification unless there is a very big difference. The parties also agree through the convention to take all the necessary measures to facilitate access to higher education institutions of their country for qualification holders of other parties who satisfy the requirement for admission to the appropriate higher education program. Number 3, the party agreed to define the criteria and procedures for the evaluation of qualification to ensure expected learning outcome, to facilitate and reinforce the mobility within and between the parties. Number 4, the parties, through the competent authority of recognition, agree to establish appropriate procedure to assess whether refugees and internally displaced persons respectively fulfill requirements to access higher education through recognition of prior learning and qualification for employability and integration. Regarding this point, UNESCO has developed a particular tools. I will come back on that. Now, how to operationalize concretely on the ground the convention? The first point is to set up what we call the national implementation structure. This is focused mainly on putting in place the National Information Center on the recognition of qualification in higher education context within Africa. The second point is the convention committee. The convention is led by a committee, and the committee is composed currently by the president, who is from Dakar, in Senegal, two vice presidents. The first is from Mauritius, the second from Mauritania, and the rapporteur is from South Africa. The mandate of the convention committee is 2 years. So next year, okay, we will organize the election and the convention committee, and we have a new top management staff of the convention. The third point is the African Network of National Implementation Structure. As I said on my point number 1, is we put in place every country that ratified the convention, the national implementation structure, namely information center. And now the information center need to put themselves together, and we have the regional information center. We can also have a bilateral and regional bodies, depending. The national regulatory agency, such as National Quality Agency, and so on and so forth. Now, let me focus on the ecosystem of UNESCO Convention on the Recognition. This convention is part of the second generation of UNESCO Convention. The first one was the former convention. So at the other level, at the continental level, no, globally, we have the Lisbon Convention for Europe, Tokyo Convention for Asia Pacific, Arab State Convention for Arab region, and Buenos Aires Convention for Latin America and Caribbean region. The Global Convention has been adopted in 2019 and has been ratified by 28 UNESCO member states, out of which we have 5 African member states, namely Cape Verde, Côte d'Ivoire, Tunisia, Senegal, and Guinea-Conakry. The aim of the Global Convention of UNESCO on the recognition of qualification concerning higher education is to accelerate the internationalization of higher education, including research, put a focus on inclusion in higher education context, and also recognize the diploma, certificate, micro-credential in the context of advanced technology and AI. What are the interactions between the links between this convention and the global convention? The first point, internationalization of university cooperation. Second point, coherence of studies at the global level. Third point, improvement of quality of higher education in relation to SDG 4. Point 4, the renewal of interest on student mobility. And the 5th point is the recognition of qualification, micro-credential, as a right. And this is very important. Now, what about the major principle of the convention? The first point, each state party should recognize the qualification. I have just commented on that. Each party must provide information on higher education system and establish national information center. This has been already discussed. The capacity to recognize partial studies prior learning, formal and informal studies. Higher education qualification acquire also through non-traditional mode of learning. Qualification of refugees, displaced persons unless substantial differences can be demonstrated. The applicant to the recognition of the qualification are responsible for providing relevant information and documentation. In case the competent authority of the recognition rejects the application, they have the right to appeal. And this is very important. And let me say finally regarding this point that the principle, the burden of proof lies with the competent authorities. They may impose specific conditions. Now, as I said, UNESCO through the Global Convention, and at this convention, okay, put emphasis on the recognition of qualification of migrants, refugees. As of today, according to UNHCR, only 7% of refugees have access to higher education. This is very slow, it's very low. In comparison, the figures from primary and secondary school education are 68% and 37% respectively. One of the major obstacles to refugees to access higher education in the labor market is the lack of the recognition of the prior learning and qualification in diplomas. The UNESCO Qualification Passport is a joint initiative between UNESCO, the Ministry of Education, and UNHCR. The UNESCO Qualification Passport tool is a tool that facilitates the mobility of qualified refugees and migrants and should have also be used for migrants worldwide. The Qualification Passport program aims to increase access to higher education for refugees and vulnerable migrants through the recognition of their prior learning and qualification. The passports contain 3 parts. The first part is dedicated to assessment. The second one is focused on explanatory parts. And the third one concerns the way forward. Now, I will conclude my presentation by one flagship program of UNESCO to support and strengthen and reinforce higher education in Africa. We call this project Campus Africa. Build integrated, inclusive, and quality tertiary and vocational education system and institution. The program came to first to reinforce the research capacities. And the first objective is to enhance the research capacity of African higher education and increase research outcome through networking, knowledge sharing, and partnership. The second point is to increase doctoral programs. And here, by developing doctoral studies and facilitating mobility and access to scholarship and student grants. The third point, the problem is to focus on technical higher education. And here, we want to improve the relevance of technical higher education through partnership with employers, youth skill development to enforce employability of researchers. So we have 3 main sectors to drive higher education institution. And we can see, let's say that a clear linkage with African Center of Excellence. For instance, we are focusing for the first years on agriculture, agro-food and water, energy, technology, including AI. And as UNESCO has more than 1,000 UNESCO shares globally, we will base, we'll start with our UNESCO share in Africa, which are working in the field such as agriculture, energy, AI, and advanced technology. Thank you. I am at the end of the presentation. I want to give the floor to our moderator. I am online for the question and the comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salifou, for the comprehensive presentation. And indeed, this initiative is very important, especially as the continent is working to increase access to as well as integration within the broader educational ecosystem in Africa. And I'm sure participants have questions for you. So we will now open the floor for the Q&A session. Let me see. Okay. All right, looks like there are no questions at the moment, but then we'll come back to the Q&A if there should be one directed to you, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you very much once again. Right, before we move on to our third speaker, I'd like to take the moment to introduce a special guest who will briefly share with us some insights on the demographics of African faculty in the East African community, that is DAF EAC initiative, Dr. Salome Kujo. Dr. Kujo is the Principal Innovation and Outreach Officer at the Inter-University Council for East Africa, where she coordinates research and innovation programs. Hello, Dr. Kujo. Thank you for joining us today. Please unmute yourself and proceed with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Isabella, probably you can respond.
Yes, please, we can hear you very well.
Thank you. My name, as you've heard, I'm Salome Guchu, working for Inter-University Council for East Africa. This is an institutional that is at the East Africa community, but it's a member association for institutions of higher education within the region. And today I'm here to share with you an initiative that we are working in collaboration with AAU Population Reference Bureau and also with Education Sub-Saharan Africa. And this is the demographics of African faculty. It's a study which has been carried out within East Africa, and currently we are now within phase 2 for the East Africa project. In this study is the first phase. Sorry.
Hello, Doc. So before you proceed, if you can put your presentation, yes, Ali. Yeah.
It's already in the presentation mode.
Okay. Yeah, we can see both your presentation and the notes for speakers.
Oh, and I don't know why it's and my slides are not refusing to move from my, oh, okay, they have accepted, sorry. So I will first of all highlight the phase 1, which actually started in 2021 and ended in 2023. And I will share some insights that we got from that study. The objectives mainly were to document the data availability within the region, assessing the available data in higher education, that is the student enrollment, faculty disaggregated data, policy norms that are within the higher education sector within the region. And also the study was to estimate the current faculty demands. And this one, we were relying on the data that is available as per the current year that was being provided. And also the we project the future of the faculty. Of course, to do all this kind of analysis, the first phase of data availability, it brought in key observations, which I'll highlight without sharing the data, which is already in the report that was shared has been shared in the report. But it was noted in the process a challenge and a gap within data collection and management within the higher education sector. And this is an issue of lack of current and up-to-date higher education data within our institutions. And also there's issue of disaggregated institutional data on student enrollment by gender and discipline. It's not really well documented. That's also a gap that was noted in most of in the region. Of course, higher education institutions, the data collection and the sharing system within even within a country itself, it's not well centralized in a way like the way we find the data for basic education. You have the ME system in most countries, but for higher education, data is all over in most institutions at national level, but rarely would you get to have authority of on higher institution. Then, of course, in some of the countries within the region, you could not actually get the official policy norms, like what is the student-teacher ratio by discipline that has been given. This is a policy as per the country, which maybe the institutions are aiming to achieve. What is the expected faculty gender ratio and other policy norms? And of course, the gap of poor documentation and the challenge of inadequate faculty. Of course, the faculty simultaneously holding teaching position at different higher education institutions, but not well documented. So you'll find one is considered you are full-time here, and at the same time, you are also full-time. So that brings a lot of, you cannot really talk of what, in terms of the data or within of faculties within different institutions. And the other challenge is the administrative process of accessing the data. And this is at a high level, a high rate. Of course, the data with the statistics, especially of the gender and the student, what was obtained, even if for the what was available, it's available in the report, which was published last year. And we are glad it's shared within our websites and within the partner organizations that are participating in this study. And with these gaps, what are the key implications? And we realize that there are key issues that within these data gaps and challenges. We find that our institutions, there is inaccuracies and difficulty in trend analysis and projection for informed decision-making in higher education. And of course, there is also misguided assumptions and skewed understanding of higher education landscape within the region. So maybe whatever is communicated, it may not necessarily what is happening in the ground, because we are not communicating from the facts on what is existing within the data is usually not up to date. And from that phase one, we've gone now into the phase two. And of course, I would like to say that from the phase one, there is a lot of information we are sharing, including now the policy brief using the data that was collected. And now I'll go to highlight aspects of the phase two of the demographic of African faculty, which is now aimed at cultivating a culture of data collection, analysis, management for faculty planning within the region. And with this, we are first of all we establishing to understand the baseline of the correction tools, the management, and of course, then the goal is to develop a harmonized data correction and management guideline within the region. That of course we align ourselves with the international, but also we create a lot of awareness and advocacy for implementation and adoption at from institutional levels and also high-level advocacy within the region. And if I highlight an aspect of what we've gathered from the baseline at the present and the best practices, is that among the key focus area we've observed is the issues of data governance, issues of the types of data and data correction processes, data management tools, data access and security, and also issues of institutional capacity and structure. And if I can highlight a few, in terms of data governance, at national level, of course, we've realized the issue of data governance landscape within the region is actually evolving within the country. It's an evolving area even globally. And presently, some countries have now recently enacted specific comprehensive registrations to govern overall data issues, which are focusing on issues of protection and privacy. And here I've put the 4 countries within the region that have now the new legal structures, which actually will affect, of course, the issues of data correction within the countries. We've also noted that at institutional level, there are some gaps in terms of awareness, even on existing the data frameworks. And also the institutions themselves may not even have their own guiding framework that is aligned to the national framework. And all is not lost, because we've also observed that institutions, they have various categories of data policies within their running processes. And would I highlight a few from some of the institutions we've observed? We have categories of what they refer, which can be categorized like a data access and security policy. They have different names. Institutions name them differently. You'll find the university ICT policy named with the name of the university. You'll find for ones who are aligning themselves with the issues of data protection policy, others data security and the like. You'll also find institutions, they also have research and innovation, a policy that's related to data, but on the category of research and innovation management. So you'll find institutions that are having research policy, other institutions with intellectual property management policy, and or even research data management policy and operation procedures and the like. So all is not lost, because we find that institutions, they have a way they are also managing their data, although it could be not really more in a coordinated way, but at the same time, we can see there are things that are happening in the baseline, even those involving the students' operations. So what are there are different types of data that are collected by the institutions, and this actually gives hope, because institutions have data, yes. The issue is how this data, is it well managed? Is it something that one can access it in and get informed in what is relevant? Can it be shared? And we noted that institutions actually collect more than 4 data types. This is just an example, because there are so many data that are collected by institutions, but we noted among the main ones that are collected by the higher education institutions are enrollment, academic performance, graduation, financial, and staff data. So those are among the highest, the ones which are top ranked by the institutions as collected. Of course, you see there are some which are not, and we are noted that are not there, but they are corrected, like the issues of research data, but they are among the list that may be corrected or of high importance. Also, some institutions have also indicated they do not really have very good standardized processes for data correction across their own departments. So that's one gap. Another good thing is that you'll find that institutions are using various primary processes, and among those that were listed as the top as registration and administrative records. And we have various processes within our report, especially on this baseline study, whether this one is to highlight what institutions are showing as topping in the list. Then in terms of the tools that are used, data management tools that are widely used by institutions, they are found to be many. And actually, most institutions indicates that using more than 3 in one institution. And the one which was indicated to be highly used are issues of financial management systems. Of course, that one we expect why, management of finances and the like. Admission management systems for student admissions and the like. And student information system and learning management systems. So those were the ones which came out as the tools that are highly used by majority of higher education institutions. Of course, we've also noted that a tool like a research information management system is among the least used within the region. On the aspect of access, security, and sharing, institutions have some measures, although with various gaps, but there are various measures that are put in place. And also in terms of sharing, institutions indicated there are different circumstances, of course, they share data, but among the one which was put like the major purpose that is shared, is used for is a major purpose that they share data for is for administrative purposes. So it's the one that is required maybe at the management of the institution, and that's when you find they are sharing data very effectively for the administrative purposes. So with this highlight of observation of what is happening on the ground, and also from the first phase 1 on the gaps, and also from what we observed in the phase 1 of the study, plus now this baseline, we come to why we of course, we are in this phase 2, we are looking to developing a harmonized guidelines for higher education data collection and management within the region. And the key question is, why so? So, of course, we believe this will improve the higher education data quality within the region. And it will also help in improving accountability within higher education institutions themselves. It will also support informed decision making, both at institutional level, national level, and also advisory levels at the regional level. And data with the quality data and what is really being shared, it will also enhance international recognition and internationalization of our higher education institutions across the region. And of course, with all those recognition, and it will also facilitate regional cooperation among institutions within the region and even beyond, because institutions will be able to understand and know what is happening within the region, and from one institution to the other. And of course, the overall effectiveness of our higher education system in the region will be enhanced. So the current thoughts on what is ongoing in the key component, of course, of these guidelines will involve what will be the scope in terms of the extent and limitations. This is involving various stakeholders, of course, in the region. We'll have harmonized indicators, which are, of course, aligned to what is at a global level, and also creating awareness on what is it within, of course, the region. Understanding the data sources and the types, data collection methods, key roles of the stakeholders within at national level, institution, and of course the region. Quality assurance and ethical considerations, because this is very pertinent, especially with the evolving data governance landscape across actually globally and also within the region. And of course, issues of mechanisms for monitoring and evaluation, especially when it comes at institutional level implementation and also at national level, each component with the key role of stakeholders. So with this, we look at it that the ultimate goal will be quality higher education data in East Africa, which will be able to facilitate planning and decision making and policy development within the region if we have the quality higher education data. It will enable in helping in tracking performance as well. It will support alignment with national policy imperatives. It will drive student success and well-being at institutional level. If you get to know, have quality data that you can analyze to know the gaps and what can be improved. Of course, with quality data, you are able to have effective resource allocation as well as resource defending your resource mobilization strategies. And also, it will also enhance the quality of teaching and learning and advising, of course, through the feedback that is obtained from the quality data. And also, finally, issues of driving institutional change and innovation, because if they know what exactly is happening at institutional level, then even those at various aspects, you are able to drive, make decisions that can drive change and also prepare innovation at your institution. And of course, finally, the benchmarking at national, region, and global and globally. And with that, I'm glad to highlight to you what we are doing with our various partners. And I would also like to really comment that I'm glad that I've come after the presentation that was done of ASSET2, that is the Africa Center of Excellence, because at Inter-University Council for East Africa, we are actually the regional facilitation unit for the Eastern and Southern Africa. That is what we call the ASSET2 component project. And I can see all the highlights also being highlighted there. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kuju, for such a great presentation. We appreciate your perspective, the perspective you shared with us today, and it is clear that establishing a robust data governance and harmonized guidelines of higher education data is crucial for to effectively plan for faculty demand, as well as addressing the data gaps that you've highlighted. Thank you so much for joining us. And at this point, we'll go for a very short break just to allow us grab some water and to stretch our body. And then we'll be back with the final presentation. So please stay online, just grab some water and stretch your legs, and be back at exactly 10:50. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is my final submission. You can
UNICEF University is offering you the chance of a lifetime. No need to travel abroad and face huge expenses. No need to leave your job or family home. UNICEF University provides internationally recognized degree programs which are affordable and available to all. Through the generous UNICEF Scholarship Program, the state-of-the-art digital platform allows you to study anytime and in any place that is convenient for you If an exciting campus life is what you're after, UNICAF University gives you the choice of blended learning, a combination of online and lecture room delivery mode in our state-of-the-art campus. Don't miss this chance of a lifetime. Choose from a wide range of bachelor, master, and doctoral degrees and start building your future. For more information, please visit www.unicafuniversity.com.
And that is my final.
Established in 1949, Accra Technical University, the premier technical university in Ghana, has distinguished itself in the area of technical education provision. It is located in the central business district of Accra, the capital city of Ghana, and that makes us uniquely the inner city university. Our mission as a technical university is to advance technical knowledge by creating a conducive environment for applied research, quality teaching, and competency-based training with a high impact on industry and business creation. The university believes in education and training that develops the competencies and skills of our students to make them relevant to industry and competitive in the job market. With a graduate school, 5 faculties, and 16 departments, we offer various industry-relevant Master of Science, Master of Technology, Bachelor of Technology, Higher National Diploma, Diploma, and non-Higher National Diploma programs. Our vibrant students population of over 25,000 includes a diverse mix of local and international students seamlessly integrating into an energetic campus life. Our graduates are highly sought-after professionals, making connections with leading organizations in Ghana and beyond, and this is made possible by our experienced and expert faculty. The university has various well-equipped labs and workshops and research-ready libraries and other ultra-modern teaching and learning facilities.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is my final submission.
You cannot forget the importance of surgeons, nurses, and pharmacists. Who is to take care of your expectant mothers, nursing your babies, and not to forget yourselves when you fall sick?
Guys, are you forgetting that us, the engineers, are the ones who brought you the expressway that you now enjoy, and soon we are taking you to space?
Kiswahili kitukuzwe. Remember, you are the global citizen that you are because of the languages you learned.
And the debate goes on. You can also join us in the journey towards being a global citizen by applying through our online application portals for the program of your choice. The University of Nairobi intake is now open.
Apply now. Join our undergraduate, master's and PhD programs from any of our 323 programs in our 10 faculties by going to application.uonbi.ac.ke. You stand to benefit by engaging in education beyond classroom. The University of Nairobi is a world-class university committed to scholarly excellence.
All right, you're welcome back to today's session, and thank you for sticking with us. And also, as we continue with our discussion for today, I wouldn't like to waste too much time, so we'll directly dive into the final presentation on the contribution of ACT and PACA to quality African higher education. And I'm very excited to introduce to you Professor Adewale Olusegun Obandina, a leading expert in food safety and biotechnology, currently serving at the Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, Nigeria. Professor Obandina is also the Quality Assurance and Accreditation Project Officer at the Association of African Universities, as well as a visiting professor at the University of Johannesburg. With over 90 publications, Professor Obandina's work has significantly impacted food safety, quality, and processing across Africa. He has held key roles such as board member of the International Union of Food Science and Technology, and currently chairs the Global Harmonization Initiative's Food Safety Education and Training Working Group. It is important to note that he has been instrumental in the African Union's food safety strategy, supporting safer food systems across the continent. Professor Obandina's research, funded by major organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, focuses on enhancing the safety and commercial viability of African foods. His extensive experience spans consulting for organizations such as UNIDO, USAID, and A.G.E.N.D.A, where he has provided training and guidance on food safety for SMEs and vendors across West Africa. Hello, Professor Obandina. You're welcome and thank you for joining us today. Please unmute yourself and then proceed with your presentation.
Yeah, thank you, the moderator. Good morning and afternoon to our esteemed participants who have been enjoying this 2024 African Universities Week that have started since Monday. I'm here this morning to present on the Africa Credit Transfer System, which is known as ACTX, and the Pan-Africa Quality Assurance and Accreditation Agency, PACWA. Their roles, the role of these two initiatives in improving the quality of African higher education space. Let me acknowledge and also appreciate the presentation from Dr. Salifou, who gave us a very nice background on the ADIS Convention and the Global Convention. My presentation is going to give us an insight on how the aims, the 5 aims, and the objective 1 of the ADIS Convention can be acquired, how can it come to pass in African higher education space. My presentation outline goes thus. I'm going to give us history about Africa Credit and Transfer System, also about PACWA, and under the ACTS, we're going to see the overview, the objectives and role, and the same thing on the PACWA. And lastly, we're going to look at the impact of these two initiatives to improving African higher education space. Before we go into these two initiatives, there's need for us to know that these two initiatives do not just come like that. Before now, there has been a project called AQUA, which is all about harmonization, accreditation, and quality assurance in higher education within the African space. This project has 3 phases. It started in the year 2015, and we had the first 2 phases, and now we are in another phase, which started year 2023 to 2028. And this project has been in existence through the investment of European Union in promoting African higher education and harmonization. And this Aqua project have been able to interact with different regional agendas and leverage on investment of other partners like UNESCO, World Bank, D.A.D., and etc. The project called Aqua is being sustained by partnership with African Union Commission. And we have several partners who have been involved in this project. All these partners are mentioned with their logos on this slide. UNESCO has been part of it, European University Association, SARUA, and so many other partners. Now, these 2 initiatives that we are considering today, the ACTS and PACWA, are initiatives under the Aqua Theory project, which is the 3rd phase of Aqua project. This project, as I mentioned earlier, is on harmonization, accreditation, and quality assurance in African higher education. And it started last year and is going to end in the year 2028. There are key 5 work areas that this project focuses on. And the objective of all these work areas are to help in harmonizing quality assurance in African education space. But this morning, I'm going to talk on Africa Credit Transfer System and the Pan-Africa Quality Assurance Accreditation System, which is PACWA. And we're going to see how these 2 initiatives can help in achieving the Addis Convention and the Global Convention. Now, we're going to look at the overview of African Credit Transfer System and the objectives. What is Africa Credit Transfer System all about? It is a framework that has already been designed to facilitate the transfer of academic credits among the universities within the continent. And what is this expected to achieve? It is expected that the Africa Credit Transfer Systems, when it starts fully, is going to help to promote regional integration of higher education within the continent and also enhance student mobility across African countries. This Africa Credit Transfer System that we're talking about has 5 different phases. This project has started since last year, as I mentioned earlier, and what the project has been able to do is to look at the system of academic credits within the different countries in Africa and try to update the state of the art of this system in Africa. So this has been done, and a comprehensive report on the state of the art in Africa academic credit has been developed. And after this, the project has also moved around with the help of the experts, which are Africans, to move around to these different countries within the continent to verify the data, the information that have been gathered together about the state of academic credits in each of these countries, and also to make them to realize the need why we need to have a system called Africa Credit Transfer. This has been done, and it is expected that after this, there is going to be piloting of this initiative by selecting 100 universities that are interested to be part of this initiative from 10 African countries in order to be able to revise the study programs. And after this, there will be another phase where the ACTS, with the assigning of credit to degree programs, will be implemented. And at the end, a user's guide on how to make use of this initiative ACTS will be developed. Now, what is the role of this initiative in improving African universities? What is the role of this initiative in educating Africans fit for the 21st century? How can this initiative help to achieve the A.G.E.N.D.A Convention and the aims of this convention that has already been highlighted? One, this initiative will enhance educational quality across Africa. And how will this be done? It's going to help in establishing standard credit systems. The way it is now, in different countries within the continent, the interpretation of credit, 1 unit credit, 2 unit credits, 3 unit credits, is not the same. And the Africa Credit Transfer System is aiming to standardize the academic credit among institutions. And in doing this, it will help to ensure recognition of qualifications across borders. It is also expected that the ACTS will improve curriculum relevance and coherence within the system. And once this is done, it's going to help to align educational programs with the regional needs. We've heard about the challenge of African labor markets within the continent. But once we are able to have ACTS in place, it's going to help to meet the demands of the African labor market. Also, as is being mentioned, as part of the aims for the A.G.E.N.D.A Convention, this program will facilitate student mobility. It's going to encourage students to study in different countries, enhancing cultural exchange and broadening academic horizons through diverse experiences. Because when the concept of credit is understood and agreed upon within the different countries, students in one country within Africa will be able to move to another country and continue its program by transferring the credits. This is being done in Europe through the program called Erasmus Mundus, where students can move from one country, from one university to another university in another country, continue with its program. It is also expected that ACTS will help to promote regional integration and collaboration by encouraging partnerships among institutions. The system is expected to foster collaboration between universities, promoting the possibility of joint programs, and at the same time share resources to elevate educational standards. ACTS will also help to strengthen regional networks by building systems of networks of institutions that can work together, which will help to improve educational offerings and services. It is also expected that ACTS will help to create a cohesive framework for higher education within the African nations. The issue of quality assurance and accreditation will also be supported by the implementation of ACTS by enhancing institutional accountability. ACTS will help to promote the quality assurance mechanisms in ensuring that institutions are held accountable for educational standards and outcomes. It is also expected that it will help African standards and guidelines for quality assurance, and at the same time, help to fostering continuous improvement by engaging institutions in regular assessment and improvement, which will definitely help to elevate the quality of education provided across the continent. Now I want to go to Pan-African Quality Assurance and Accreditation Agency, which is PAQA, and the roles and how these will be operated. These initiatives that we are talking about, they are to help in achieving the Agenda 2063 about the Africa we want, which is all about harmonization, movement of students, movement of capacity, or a movement of human capital within the continent. Now, what is PAQA? PAQA is Pan-African Quality Assurance and Accreditation Agency, and is expected to be an overarching body that will oversee quality assurance in higher education and qualifications, and also ensure coherences and common standards across the continent. The agency is not conceived as an association of existing entities. There's need to know this, that the agency is an autonomous decision-making entity with legal personality. And the functions that is expected from this agency, PAQA, are: one, it's going to be facilitator and promoter of quality assurance in Africa. It will be a gatekeeper for national quality assurance agencies. National quality assurance agencies. It can later on accredit institutions, especially Pan-African institutions. And it's also going to be an oversight body for national quality assurance agencies. Here are the objectives of Pan-African Quality Assurance Agencies. One, it is going to increase the transparency of quality assurance and accreditation in Africa by promoting the African standard guidelines for quality assurance in higher education and its application in external and internal quality assurance. I highlighted ASDQA, and I'm going to say some few things about this. Another objective of PAQA is to reinforce cooperation between national quality assurance and accreditation agencies, as well as regional quality assurance networks. Thirdly, it will reinforce cooperation between relevant qualifications authorities and institutions related to recognition of higher education across borders. PAQA will promote alignment between qualifications frameworks, both at national and regional level in Africa and globally. It is also going to facilitate higher education mobility between the African Union member states through the promotion and application of common frameworks and tools for recognition of degrees and credits. Lastly, PAQA will promote the Africa Continental Instrument and frameworks globally and serve as an interface with other continents and agencies with similar missions. I need to also let us know that presently we have a technical unit of PACWA within the AAU Secretariat in Accra, Ghana. And this technical unit is neutral and is able to work constructively with all regions and language groups in Africa. All the languages in Africa will be used in operation of PACWA, and that is what is operative presently at the PACWA technical unit. Among the tasks of the PACWA technical unit is to facilitate discussions between stakeholders on how to promote the PACWA and run a visibility campaign, and to help in setting up and communicate with governance bodies. This has already been started. This has already started and is ongoing. Between 2025 and 2028, this agency is expected to have National Quality Assurance Agency reviews and consultancy visits within Africa, and to be executed by African experts in quality assurance. African experts is the initiative is owned by Africans, by ourselves. When I talk about review of quality assurance agencies, what is the rationale? What do we mean by this? It is expected that the National Quality Assurance Agency need to also take their own medicine. They are the one that review, regulate the different higher education institutions in different countries. We are expecting that there's need to enhance the lead review of these national quality assurance agencies. And in doing this, experts within the continent, with the approval and support of African Union, have come up with a tool that is called African Standard and Guidelines for Quality Assurance, that is expected for all the quality assurance agencies within the continent to use in doing their work. And it is expected that the quality assurance agency should comply with this tool. So the agency review will try to support the development and establishment of national quality assurance agencies in line with the ASDQA. And it is also expected, as we are also doing now, that the agency should raise awareness about the African Standard and Guidelines for Quality Assurance, which is ASDQA. And the agency review is also going to facilitate discussion with different stakeholders in those different countries, and at the same time increase visibility, trust, and transparency. The African Standards and Guidelines for Quality Assurance in Higher Education, ASDQA, the sample is what we have on the slide. And to also say that this document, this tool, is expected to unify the framework applicable to all quality assurance processes. It is a set of standards and guidelines for internal and external quality assurance in higher education. It is also worthy to let us know that this tool is already available in 4 languages: English, French, Portuguese, are all available on the PACWA website and ACWA website. And we also need to know that this document is not prescriptive, rather is a mechanism for quality assurance in order to allow enhancement-led approach for the improvement of institutional and educational quality. And it is expected that this document will add value to higher education institutions and quality assurance agencies within the continent. The main purpose for this tool are, one, to have a common framework for quality assurance in Africa, to also develop mutual trust among all the institutions, higher education institutions within the continent. At the same time, to improve the quality and enhance the higher education quality within the continent. The issue of transparency is also very important. This tool will help to have transparency and accountability. And at the same time, it's going to help with sustainable quality culture in higher education. International competitiveness is also one of the purposes that this tool will help to achieve. And lastly, this tool will help in development of national quality assurance agency systems and agencies that are aligned with the rest of the continent in terms of quality standards. As it is in Africa, it's difficult for some professionals that obtain their degrees in one part of the continent, a particular country or country within the continent, to go and practice in another country within the continent because of this challenge of harmonization. So we need to be able to do this in order to achieve mobility of human capital within the continent. This tool that we are talking about composed of 3 parts. We have a part which is majorly for internal quality assurance. We have another part that is for external quality assurance, which is majorly used by the quality assurance agencies in conducting audits or program accreditation in the higher education institutions within their countries. And the part 3 is on quality assurance agencies. How to assure that the quality of the quality assurance agencies are up to what is expected, and which can also be used for self-assessment in preparation for external quality assurance. The ASDQA has different parts, as I've mentioned. And let me also say that, as I mentioned, that there will be reviews for different quality assurance agencies that PACWA will conduct, and these have started. This process involves registration and training, self-evaluation, expert panel visits. The expert panel visits will be conducted by 4 African experts. And another unique thing about this initiative is that students are also given a responsible role in the evaluation, in the review, so that they can also contribute to the quality of higher education institution that they are expecting. And there will be review reports which these experts will put together at the end of the visit. I will still talk more about this agency review visit. Now, what are the role of PACWA in helping to improve the African higher education institutions? One, it is expected that PACWA will ensure quality standard across institutions within the continent. And how will this be done? The agency will help to set comprehensive criteria that institutions must meet to ensure education quality, and this will help in fostering a standard of excellence across Africa. There will also be regular evaluation and monitoring processes. And as I said, this will happen through the agency review. And this initiative is expected to promote transparency in educational outcomes. The agency will do this by allowing students, as I said earlier, to make informed decisions about their educational choices. ACWA will also facilitate regional cooperation and mobility. Once we have harmonization of the standards that are used in all the higher education institutions and quality assurance agencies within the different nations, this will definitely foster greater collaboration and recognition of qualifications. So there will not be differentiation in the qualification obtained from Guinea and that from Ghana or that from Tanzania. All this will be recognized. And once this is done, it will enhance student mobility within the African continent. The ACTS initiative will also, PACWA will also help the ACTS initiatives by playing a crucial role in developing the frameworks that will allow for the seamless transfer of academic credits between institutions across the African borders. It's also going to encourage shared best practices among the different institutions within the continent. What about capacity building for quality assurance? PACWA is expected to help in training programs that will equip institutional staff with the skills needed for effective quality assurance practices and accreditation process. It will also help to strengthen institutional governance structures. At the same time, it will foster research and innovation in education by supporting the development of innovative educational practices that will contribute to continuous improvement in quality assurance. These two initiatives, ACTS and PACWA, how are they going to impact the system of African higher education? One, as I mentioned, is going to enhance academic recognition across borders. Two, is going to improve quality of education across the continent. Three, is going to foster cultural exchange and integration. How will this be done? Student mobility will be facilitated by these two systems in promoting cultural exchange, allowing our students within the continent to experience different educational settings and diverse perspectives. It's going to help in building networks among our students. And it will strengthen what we call Pan-African identity. By studying in different countries, students will contribute to a shared Pan-African identity, promoting unity and cooperation among diverse cultures and backgrounds, which will help in contributing to achievement of Agenda 2063. As it is presently, we have challenge in addressing institutional capacity gaps within the continent. These two initiatives will help in assisting those institutions in Africa that are still struggling with inadequate resources and infrastructure, which has been hindering their ability to provide quality education. The issue of skilled personnel. These two initiatives will definitely help to address the challenge of critical shortage of trained professionals. And it is also going to assist in the area of resistance to change. The institutions are often faced with resistance when trying to adopt new quality assurance practices, which has been debarring progress and improvement in these institutions. These two initiatives will also enhance regional cooperation among institutions, among regional bodies. There are different networks of quality assurance within the continent. These two initiatives will help to bring every network together. We harmonize everybody together. And it will also help with joint accreditation initiatives by developing framework that will help to streamline the process and ensure consistency in quality assurance across the continent. The agency review that I mentioned earlier, some people may be wondering that how can they be involved? How can they benefit from this initiative? This project, Aqua 3, want us to keep in mind the possibility of our quality assurance agencies being reviewed. And the way to benefit or to be part of this is to submit expression of interest through the website that have been shown on the slide. But there will be a call early next year for the review of agencies, national quality assurance agencies. And we expect that those countries that are interested can show interest in this. This call for the participation will be also distributed through the Aqua Consortium and head of different agencies. More information about how to be involved in this agency review can be obtained from the website that has been shown on the slide. And if you want to know more about these initiatives, the Africa Credit Transfer System, ACTS, and Pan-Africa Quality Assurance Agencies, PACWA, you can visit these two websites that we have on the slide now for more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Obadina. Thank you so much for shedding light on these important quality assurance frameworks. Indeed, we all can see how it contributes to educating and equipping our scholars, or contributing to enhancing the higher education that is fit for the 21st century in Africa. We will now proceed to the Q&A session. We have quite some few questions for our speakers, and we will start with the one directed to the ACE Impact Project. And so this is from Abba Sabo Dantata. Dr. Kandere, she's asking, what specific contributions does Nigeria make to the AAU and ACE, and how do these contributions enhance education, collaboration, and development across the continent? So, Sylvia and Kandere, if you are online, kindly unmute yourself and then answer the question. Hello, Doc.
Thank you very much. I think I was struggling to unmute myself. Thank you for the question. In terms of Nigerians' contribution to the ACE impact, I think Nigeria is one of the largest countries that is hosting the ACE programs. We have 17 centers out of 53. These are from Nigeria. So I think that's the first contribution in terms of government ownership to this program. So I think also after the first phase of the ACE had been implemented, the government of Nigeria actually replicated the model through the TED Fund to get more centers to participate. So thereby you can see shared objectives between the government of Nigeria and the ACE program through the World Bank funding to increase the number of students, get quality research, and the investment in the infrastructure. But also from Nigeria, when we are looking at the patents that have come through, so far, I think the largest number so far for the successful patents, Nigeria is registering high. Maybe in the near future, we will be profiling these patents as well, just to showcase what the centers in Nigeria are contributing. And then also infrastructure, I think 17 centers, we have diversity of infrastructure in various thematic areas, positioning the country to support regional priority research within Africa.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for the answer. And this goes to Dr. Salifou from Roseguri. She's asking, is there an accreditation board for the recognition of certificates from African institutions? I think Professor Obadene's presentation answers this, but then, Doc, if you have any submission for this question, she's asking if there are any accreditation board for the recognition of certificates from African institutions.
Okay, so this question is for me, Abdoulaye Salifou.
Yes.
Okay, as we know, during my presentation, I said that we have, as of today, 14 state parties that ratify at this convention, including Holy See. In each of the countries that ratify the convention, the body that in charge of the recognition is the competent authority of the recognition. And this depends on the country, normally, okay? In some countries, they used to rely on the National Quality Assurance Agency, okay? In some other countries, it is within the Ministry of Higher Education, the department in charge of equivalence of degrees and diploma, okay? So that is the figure. Now, what is very important for African member states right now is that we need to increase the number of the state party or the member state that ratify at this convention. Because if you want greater mobility, you want to foster the internationalization of higher education, we want to harmonize the harmonization of quality assurance within our continent, we need to ensure that we obtain a substantial number of ratification. The presentation on a HAQUA 3 initiative is welcome because HAQUA 3 initiative, one of the components is focused on quality assurance. And as we know, Addis Ababa Convention helped to put in place quality assurance mechanism, accreditation mechanism. But before, it's very important to reinforce the capacity of the member states, the Minister of Higher Education, the Vice Chancellor, okay, the President of universities, so that they will push the file of the ratification from the desk of the Ministry of Higher Education to the desk of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice before the file will be put on the table of the Parliament for ratification. Okay, so do you see now the process? Let us now put our effort together, support our countries. For instance, a country, one of the biggest countries, let's say the biggest country in Africa in terms of the population, Nigeria. Still now, Nigeria doesn't ratify at this convention. Same thing to Ethiopia, where the convention has been adopted. I will say the same thing to Ghana, for instance. Ghana, they doesn't ratify, but there is a tight linkage between at this convention, the national qualification framework and the regional qualification framework. Because if you don't ratify at this convention, there will be some miss regarding the national qualification framework. Even in Kenya, they have their own national qualification framework, but you cannot go outside at the continental level. Same thing for Nigeria and the other countries. So I am here to raise awareness, to tell all the participants to liaise with the universities and the ministries so that they can start this process. Because without what I call at this convention, there is no concrete harmonization of higher education. We have already, at the level of global convention on the recognition of higher education, in concerning, recognition of qualification concerning higher education. Today, for instance, if I'm from Nigeria and I want to go to Paris as researchers, I will face a lot of difficulties concerning the visa. But if Nigeria ratify the convention, it will be very easier for researchers, students to move and come back easily. This will help to avoid or to reduce brain drain, because the convention contributes to the reduction of brain drain. If you know that you can go and come, why do you go to stay in Europe or in USA? I will stop here. Over to you. I hope I do respond to the question.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Salifou. So the next question goes to Professor Obadina, and this is from Yinka Somorin. So he says many thanks to Professor Obadina for his presentation. And then his question is, how will the 100 universities from the 10 countries for the pilot of the Act be selected? So Professor Obadina, this goes to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Shumori. Before I go to giving response to that, I can see some people have sent messages to me on the chat that I should display the website. So these are the two different websites that can be visited for more information about the initiatives, Africa Credit Transfer System, and Pan-Africa Quality Assurance Agency. Thank you. So back to Dr. Shumori's question. Yes, the initiative of Africa Credit Transfer System has put different tools in place in order to achieve the various objectives set out for that particular initiative. As I said, what they did was to first move around. They got information about the credit system in different institutions within Africa. And they now develop a document that is called State of the Art in Africa on Academic Credits. This document has been developed on what each country know about credits, academic credits in their programs. This is developed. And after that, these experts have moved around different countries within the different regions within the continent in order to substantiate the document that has been developed, and also to give presentations to these different national quality assurance agencies, including higher education institutions in those different countries, on need for adopting ACTS. And it has been a very nice experience and responses. So the next thing is that from the different regions that we have, 5. So the different universities, 100, will be selected from these different regions based on their responses, based on their interests after the meeting that have been conducted. So some of them shows interest, some of them are reluctant. So definitely they are not going to be forced because it's going to be a pilot. So those countries that show interest with the institutions are the ones that will be selected, but it's going to be across the continent, 2 universities, 2 countries per each region. So that will be 10 countries within Africa, and the National Quality Assurance Agency will select the universities that will represent their own country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Obadina. And back to you, Dr. Salifou. And this is from Alice Kamau. And she says, you have indicated that one of the objectives of Campus Africa is to enhance research capabilities. When are the programs offered? And then whom do you target for training? Dr. Salifou.
Thank you very much. Of course, as I said, the Campus Africa, this flagship, come to contribute to solve 3 problems: research capability, doctoral program, and how to help higher education institutions, okay, to propose training offer that will avoid the mismatch between the labor market and the degrees. Now, which for us, we have started the program since 2 years ago. We started with the component of technical higher education, okay, in partnership with with China. So we are supporting currently 10 countries. Among them, we have Gabon, Côte d'Ivoire, Tanzania, Senegal, etc. Now, regarding the research capacity, the program will start next year. Okay? We are targeting countries from Western Africa, Eastern Africa, Eastern Africa, and Central Africa. I will share as I display my email, I will share the country, namely a full email when we will agree on the countries that will be targeted, okay? But the area of the focus is agro-food. We have also ICT and advanced technology, and the third one is energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salifou. And the last question goes to Dr. Salome Kuju, and this is from Kellen K, asking if the phase 1 of the DAF project, the report is in the public domain. So, Dr. Kuju, if you can confirm your report is in the public domain and probably the link to access the report.
Hello? The question is for who?
Dr. Kuju, Salome Kuju.
Okay.
Sorry, I think my sound was down.
We can hear you now.
Yes, I'm requesting you repeat the question, please.
Yeah. So the question is if your phase one or the phase one of the project, the report is in the public domain.
Oh yeah, sure. The report is actually in the public domain, and I will also share it on the link here, the main report. And it clearly gives actually the diversity, the differences between the East African countries, the institutions that were part of this study. There are clear differences in terms of even student-teacher ratio, some of those indicators, faculty-gender ratios, and they are provided in that report. And I'll be glad to share the link of the report in this meeting. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I'll say a very big thank you to all our speakers, Dr. A.G.E.N.D.A, Dr. Salifou, Dr. Kuju, and then Professor Obedina. This brings us to the end of the 2024 Africa Universities Week celebration. Once again, I'll say thank you to all our participants for your active participation from day one through to today. Also, a special thank you goes to our distinguished guests, like from day one, for sharing your insights on the various topics under the main theme of this year's 2024 Africa Universities Week celebration. Indeed, we've heard a lot, and we really appreciate the effort of these initiatives, the various organizations, as well as the individuals in advancing the educational standards for a 21st century Africa. Also, I'll extend our great appreciation to our sponsors for supporting us and making this event a success. And then to our board members, our regional officers, our partners and member universities, thank you so much for your collaboration, which is very important, which has been very important to the success of the occasion. And of course, to the entire AAU staff, we say thank you very much for your hard work and dedication, ensuring that this program was a success. Before we end, and as the Assistant TV Manager, I would like to invite you all to stay connected with us on our various platforms. You can reach us via WhatsApp, +233 266 296601 or +233 203 995 210. You can also visit our website, tv.aau.org, and link us up on Facebook and YouTube at Association of African Universities. It's been a great privilege to moderate this session. Thank you once again. Before we end, I'll encourage you, let's all turn our camera on for the IT team to screenshot, just to make a memory.